4 men convicted of a horrific crime that went unsolved for close to 30 years are now appealing their convictions.
It took a documentary and a cold case investigation to identify Janet Chandler's killers.
24-hour News 8's Ken Kolker was in Lansing for today's appeals court arguments.
30 years after the rape and torture of Janet Chandler, her father was in a courtroom today listening to attorneys argue the case. Attorneys told the State Court of Appeals that their clients maintained their innocence. But it was the details, repeated again, that made it difficult.
I don't think you can put it in words. It was hard enough at the trial, and then it just keeps coming up. And
Chandler, a Hope College student, was murdered in 1979 at a guest house in Holland.
The corroborating witnesses, and there were many of them, described an event which was the most depraved and coordinated gang rape killing of a young lady.
Even an attorney for one of the defendants acknowledged that the crime had left its mark on him and his office staff as they prepared for the appeal.
In fact, it was so traumatic that my secretary had nightmares.
After a cold case investigation, 5 men and a woman, most staying in Holland to work as security officers, were convicted in Ottawa County Circuit Court in May 2007. 4 are in prison for life. Those 4, Arthur Carl Paiva, James Nelson, Freddie Parker, and Anthony Robert Eugene Williams, are appealing their convictions to the State Court of Appeals. Attorneys for 3 of the men argued their cases today before a 3-judge panel.
My client adamantly denies that he was present at the guest house when all this took place.
Based on the responses of the judges, their arguments were not well received.
How many witnesses disagreed with your client on that?
I didn't count them, Judge.
Another attorney argued police went too far to get witnesses to identify suspects.
These witnesses were definitely coached.
Janet Chandler's father sat through the trial nearly 2 years ago. He was among those who watched today's arguments.
I feel like I have to. How would it look if Janet's dad didn't? You know. So you do what you have to do.
A ruling isn't expected until this fall. In Lansing, Ken Kolker, 24-hour News 8.